Your host, Veteran Mountain Man, and here is yet another bit of insanity. Now, this is about a ruling from The Hague in the Netherlands, and they have ordered the United States to lift sanctions on Iran that affect the imports of humanitarian goods and products and services linked to civil aviation safety. Now, let's talk about this first and foremost. When they say humanitarian goods and products, they're talking about medical supplies, they're talking about food, they're talking about water filtration. All of these things are also key to prosecuting military capability and even performing terrorist acts. This would also include things such as fuel refining equipment. Now, when they start talking about products and services linked to civil aviation, they're talking traffic control, weather information, satellite imaging, and even GPS satellite access, all of which have military applications as well. Now, this ruling was done by the International Court of Justice, and I am hoping President Trump rejects this wholesale, because the U.S. re-implemented sanctions against Iran after dismissing the horrible deal President Obama initiated with Iran, basically giving them the ability to create nuclear weapons, under the guise of allowing them to create nuclear power. Now, Iran sits on a vast oil field, just like most of the Middle East does. So there's no real need for them to have nuclear power. The only reason for them to continue to do nuclear enrichment and things of that nature is specifically to develop nuclear weaponry technology, akin to North Korea. Now, releasing civil aviation equipment would also allow for missile tracking. So basically, the UN court has decreed that the United States has to give Tehran ability to start creating a tracking network for their nuclear missiles and other missiles being launched, as well as give them back access to the air traffic control networks, which also allow them to fly jets for fighter craft. Now, this is realistically foolish at best and insane at worst. Now, the U.S. ambassador to the Netherlands said this: "This is a meritless case over which the court has no jurisdiction. Even so, it is worth noting that the court declined today to grant the sweeping measures requested by Iran instead. The court issued a narrow decision on a very limited range of sectors." Now, this is the truth. Iran wants to destroy America, Israel, and most of the Western world. They've supported terrorist actions and activities. They chant death to America in the streets on a regular basis. Who is the UN to tell the United States that we have to give them stuff? Who? The last I checked, in the world, you are still entitled to private property as a nation, and we in the United States are entitled to private property as individuals. Medical supplies still have to be produced. They still cost money to create. The satellite network and the network infrastructure for air traffic control and weather verification and monitoring is expensive technology that costs money to run. That's private property, and the UN has no jurisdiction over American private property. So as far as I'm concerned, the UN has overstepped its bounds for the last time. The United States needs to reject this court ruling wholesale and shouldn't even appeal it. Should just tell them no, flat out no. Because right now the UN is bankrupt without the U.S. We are the only reason it is still standing. And it's time that the United States measured what was important for the United States and not bowed and scraped to whatever the UN decided. Well, I want to thank you again for joining me. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I am going to include the link to this ABC News article about this down below. I am concerned that we will see more rulings like this out of the UN over the future. So please join me in pushing our politicians to perhaps see about removing the UN and sending it to The Hague and getting it out of the United States. Thank you all again, and have yourself a beautiful day.